Sometimes, there are crimes so horrible to imagine that they cannot be explained without a mental diagnosis on the part of the criminal. Today, I'll be discussing with you the case of Zakiya Avery.
Horrific attack in Montgomery County. We have learned that Zakiya Avery of Germantown has been charged with the death of her two children, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder.
Early on Friday morning, what they saw was a car with the door open in front of this townhouse in suburban Maryland, just outside of D.C., and when they looked down, there was a bloody knife on the ground. So what the police did, they found keys in the car, they immediately went into the house, and when they went in the house, they found blood all over the house, and as you said, the toddler and the baby dead, and a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old badly injured, all stabbed repeatedly.
I see the car open and one coat the kids in the floor.
It is horrible. Very horrible.
Avery is the mother of all 4 children. She was found at the scene unharmed and brought in for questioning. A 21-year-old initially believed to be a victim was also found with minor injuries. She was rushed to the hospital. Sources close to the investigation say her wounds were discovered to be superficial and likely self-inflicted.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Crimeco, your go-to channel for some intriguing and incredible true crime stories. Before I continue with today's case, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. So buckle up and get ready to go on a wild ride with us. Zakiya Avery was a very lovely mother to her 4 children until insanity marked their lives forever. At the time of the events, she was 28 years old and lived alone with her kids since she and the father of her children were separated. Zakiya's older kids, 8-year-old Martello and 5-year-old Tanya, were the ones who would carry scars both physically and emotionally for the rest of their lives. They are the survivors of a dreadful night in which their mother became their worst enemy. On January 17, 2014, the city of Germantown in Maryland woke up to the horrifying news that would leave a dark stain in their memories. The fact that there were children involved in such a gruesome crime just made everything worse. It was a normal morning for one of Zakiya's neighbors. She was about to go on and about with her day until she noticed something really disturbing. She immediately decided to call 911 after seeing a knife with what seemed to be blood stains on it inside a parked car. At around 9:30 a.m., cops arrived in the 1900 block of Cherry Bend Drive in Germantown to find an unsettling and heartbreaking crime scene. Inside the home, they found a horrible scene. There was blood everywhere around the first floor, so they went ahead to investigate the other rooms, and once they got upstairs, they got the shock of their lives. Inside one of the bedrooms, there were the bodies of Zakiya's 2 younger kids wrapped up in blankets in their mom's bed. After this discovery, they went into another room where they found Tanya wounded but still alive. It was at this point that Zakiya took her son Martello and tried to escape through the back door, but the police caught her right outside her house and arrested her on the spot. But she wasn't alone. Her partner in crime, a friend of hers identified as Monica Sanford, was also arrested at the crime scene but was sent to a hospital since she presented several wounds. Tanya and Martello were rushed to the nearest hospital, where they stayed hospitalized in critical condition, but fortunately, they survived. Zakiya, along with Monica, who was 21 at that moment, had brutally killed 2-year-old Zayana and 18-month-old Norel, presumably in the early hours of that day. The whole situation was actually the culmination of events that started the night before the murders. It was later known that the night of January 16th, another neighbor had called 911 because one of Zakiya's children had been left alone in the car for almost an hour. While the police were on their way, both Zakiya and Monica approached the neighbor, told him to mind his own business, took the kid, and went inside the house. Once the police arrived, they knocked on Zakiya's door, but nobody answered, so they called the County Child Welfare Agency, which was supposed to do a visit that same day the bodies were found. Maybe, had the police tried harder, those children would still be alive now. After being arrested and once Monica was out of the hospital, the interrogation began, and what they told the investigators shocked everyone. When questioned about their motives, both women answered that they were certain that Zakia's children were under the control of evil spirits and that they needed to perform an exorcism to expel them so the children could go to heaven. As they went deeper, they told the detectives that the children's eyes were turning black and that they saw a black cloud hovering over them. They also stated that these demons could jump into different people, and that's when Norel was targeted. Zakia tried to snap his neck, and then she began to choke him. Not satisfied with this, both women stabbed the toddler and then watched as the demonic spirit floated over into the body of the other child. At one point, the demon jumped into Sanford, and that's why she had some stab wounds on her body. Both women were consistent in their answers. They didn't blame each other. They told their truth, which, although it made sense to them, sounded more like a plot from some horror movie. In their first court appearance, both women were indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Zakia's younger children and also on 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder regarding the attacks on Zakia's older kids. Once in court, more details were released to the public. Zakia and Monica met at a church called Exorcism Ministries, and after a while, they departed from said church and became members of a group called the Demon Assassins. Only 4 people made up this group, and Zakia served as the commander and Monica as the sergeant of the cult. In a diary found at the crime scene, there were several entries in which both women explained how demons were lurking their way into this society and how it was their mission to cast them out. The prosecution also shared more gruesome details about the killings. Little Norel was stabbed more than 20 times, but what makes his murder even more horrible is the fact that he had defensive wounds on his tiny hands. This poor toddler, in his small mind, knew that what his mother was doing was wrong and fought for his life with all his strength until the end. His sister, Ziana, unconscious from the choking, was stabbed around 13 times in her small chest. What kind of mother does that to her kids? It was clear that there was something terribly wrong with Zakia and Monica. The demons weren't inside those little kids, but they were real in flesh, hiding in plain sight. The kid's father had a hard time listening to the details of the pain that his sweet children had to endure. It was later revealed that both women had been struggling with mental health issues and that Monica had tried to commit suicide twice in the past. Both pleaded guilty and were denied bond. They were also subjected to psychiatric evaluations. On September 15, 2016, Zakia was found guilty of all charges and was declared criminally insane, for which reason she was confined to a maximum security psychiatric hospital instead of prison. Monica took a plea deal and was also committed to a psychiatric hospital. The case drew national attention due to its shocking nature and the involvement of the religious group. Tragedies like this always spark discussions about mental illness, religious extremism, and child abuse. The fact that these women were diagnosed as criminally insane, although they somewhat understood their actions, has been controversial and debated over the years, with some arguing that recognition of the impact of mental illness on criminal behavior needs to be carefully evaluated so the criminals can pay the right price for their crimes. Zakia was a wonderful, dedicated mother to her children despite her own mental issues, and she managed to do the best she could to provide for them. It is uncertain when her mental health began to decline. Although family and friends did notice a change of behavior during the previous months of the events, she always seemed collected and a good mother. But it was all a facade. The real demon was herself, and unfortunately, 2 of her children died because of it, and the ones surviving will surely have suffered significant trauma for the rest of their lives. Thanks again for joining us in the story. Before you go, let us know what you think about this incredible case in the comment section. We'll see you again in the next one.